Welcome to AS Sports Legacy Channel. My name is José Luis Barbosa. Our is a talk show that we talk about important subjects such as education, sport, history, culture, economics, and so on. Tonight here with me are Adriano de Souza, Driele Marcondes, Éder Mota, and Edno de Souza. And tonight, for our first program, for our inauguration program, we have a very special guest. Someone that was one of the greatest athletes in the history of track and field, in the history of the sport in the world. The first man to break the 13-second 110 hurdles. The first man ever to do that. He also was Super Bowl champ. He's a fantastic human being, great professional, good friend of mine. And I'd like you guys to welcome Renaldo Nehemiah. My friend, thank you to be here. I appreciate it.
So glad to be here.
So Renaldo, it's a great pleasure to have you here. You create this channel because in Brazil and in Latin America, there is a need of information. This is the idea here is educate people like you that strive to excellence. People like you that have done great things in sport and also after sport did fantastic things. To us to educate the Brazilian people to understand, the Latin America to understand, and through this you will be a message to everyone to know how the sport is, what the greatness the sport can do in our lives, and make some change in people's life as well. So welcome, and I appreciate our script that you created here, the first program, and I want you to stay relaxed, speak your mind, feel like be home, okay? My first question to you, I got to start from the beginning. So I'd like to know where you were born.
I was born in New Jersey, just outside of New York City, a small town. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, a major city in New Jersey. And then I grew up in a small town called Plains, New Jersey.
Fantastic. That's great. Yeah, so New Jersey, I've been up there. It's a nice place to be there. Ronaldo, when you were a kid, when you were right there at elementary school, when you were playing the street, going to school, just being a kid, I'd like to know when you were elementary school, did you already have any sports skill that get your attention, that caught your attention at that time?
I was just a little kid having fun with my friends, and the most we did was street races to see who was the fastest on our street. Mm-hmm. And then my mother and father got me involved with swimming and bowling. In the United States, bowling is popular. I did play age group football. You had to be 10 years of age before you could play. You had to be a certain weight. And I played American basketball. I played baseball. I played everything. I was a kid. I just, back then it was to keep us out of trouble. So we would play organized games with other kids and in leagues. So it was never an intention to be one day great. It was just to have fun, innocent fun with kids.
That's just fantastic. I think that way should be when you're a kid. Just relax, have fun, interact with your friends, and just let life go.
Hello. Well, I think we have a kind of internet problem. This is something that we Can you hear us? Okay, we had a break. Jose, can you repeat the question, please?
Okay. Did you hear me?
Yes.
I was telling that when you were in high school, and I'd like to know if you at high school, because you're thinking about education, you have idols, you aspire people that inspire you, of course. And did you have an idea which university you would go to at that level when you were in high school?
I did not. Again, I still played sports just to have fun. I started becoming better at sports, in different sports. But in ninth grade, my math teacher came up to me and said if I got really good, that they give scholarships to university. Mm-hmm. At that point, that was the first time I'd ever heard about scholarships to university. Mm-hmm. All I knew is that I wanted to go to university. Mm-hmm. And that was my plan, to go, not to play sports, but just to go to get an education. Mm-hmm. So when he said to me, if you train hard and get better, you might become qualified to get a scholarship to go to university. So that excited me, that someone took an interest in me. And my whole ambition at that point wasn't so much to become a great hurdler or a great sportsman. It was to become as good as I could become, to make my parents proud, so I could help pay for my education. And that was it. And I was successful in getting a scholarship to college, but it was still in pursuit of getting an education to make my parents proud of me.
That's great. That is nice.
That's nice. That's really nice. That's really nice. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you to come here and join us the channel. And this is a new experience for everybody here. And I think we are enjoying to have you here. And taking the part that your teaching, your math teacher told you about the scholarship, I would like to know, and I think the people would like to know, if you received any scholarship when you went to college.
I did. I actually received a scholarship in college. I also had a music, in high school, I had a music scholarship because I played the saxophone. And I became pretty good in playing music, that I had earned a music scholarship, not to college, but to a music program. And because music has been at the core of my foundation. But I was so excited when someone thought I was good enough athletically to get a scholarship. And it's so amazing because one day I'm running races, and the next day I'm flying all around the United States of America, visiting different universities. And now the decision is mine, where I want to go to school to get an education. And so it was just very important to me, again, that I always say to this day that his name was Mr. Larry Thomas, my math teacher in ninth grade. Mm. And, he saw something in me that I didn't even know I had in me. And it was just a wonderful thing because, we all need to lift up people. We need to speak into people's lives in a positive way. And he spoke into my life in a positive way. And I felt that the least I could do was try to see how good I could become. And even if I didn't get a scholarship to university, it was my first introduction of challenging myself for higher heights. And so I think that's so important. And I do that today. I mentor young people. I'm always trying to see more in them than they might even see into themselves, because someone did that for me many years ago.
Wow, this is incredible, because Renaldo, I don't know if I can call this a gift, but in some moment you realized that you had a great athletic ability, and this athletic ability gave you the opportunity to practice other sports. Why did you choose track and field?
I chose track and field. It chose me. I didn't choose it.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yes. As an American, you grow up pursuing America's sports, which is football, basketball, and baseball. Mm-hmm. But there's some politics in those team sports. because sometimes it depends on the influence of your family, the influence of who they know. And I learned very early sometimes when I wasn't playing as much as I wanted to in the team sports because someone else's father gave more money to the school, those kinds of things, that athletics allowed me not have to worry about that. Because if I were better than you, all I had to do is prove it when I got on the line. I could be better than you in American football, but if I don't get a chance to prove it, no one will ever see it. So athletics gave me a platform that no one could take from me. It was my own lane. I could win by myself, I could lose by myself. Team sports, you need other players and teammates to help you win and or lose. And so it was that defining moment that I said very early in life, I wanted to be 100% accountable for my failures and my successes.
Okay, so when did you realize that you had this special talent to compete in that level?
It's so interesting of a question because in my school we have different school districts. So in Brazil they might call it primary school. We'll call it elementary school. So from kindergarten to sixth grade, and then we have a junior high school. Today they call it secondary school, which was seventh, eighth, and ninth grade. And then you go to high school, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Well, I wasn't anything to write home about in ninth grade. I ran 15.3, 15.1 in the 110. At that time, 120-yard hurdles, but 110. Then in 10th grade, my first year in high school, during the winter, during an indoor meet, on a shuttle hurdle relay, I got injured and tore my hamstring right off the bone at the insertion behind the buttocks. And so I was out for a season and a half. So I went from running 51. The next time I ran, I was a junior in high school. And I broke the state record. I ran 13.6 as a junior. And then my senior year, I ran 12.9. So I tell people, God was in the midst because my chronology doesn't add up behind the buttock. 15.1, 13.6, 12.9. So when people are like, how fast did you run at this age and that age? I said, no, God had me on the sideline. He was working with me. He wanted me to have such an insatiable love of sport that when I came back, I would appreciate every day I had because I missed so many days. And so, again, what has led to my success my entire career has never been getting a scholarship or one day turning professional. It really was, I loved it. And I came alive when I was hurdling. And I wanted to show everyone how much I loved it. And so I never cut corners. I was always disciplined. And there was nothing that could bring me more satisfaction than mastering a hurdle, mastering a technique, getting stronger, getting better. And I didn't have to read the papers. I didn't have to see myself on TV because it never got better than the live experience of running it. You know what I mean? When I ran a race and I won, I lived in that moment for 13 seconds. And no one could tell the story better than me who ran it. So I didn't look for others for validation because it was the greatest gift that God bestowed on me was that I won, I conquered, and Jose knows I'm friendly, but I'm not overly excited about what I've accomplished because running is what I did. It was never who I was.
You were a competitor. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Hey, I just saw some.
Yeah, my family would always say to me, you're so quiet and you're so shy. But when you get on the track, we don't even know who you are. And I go, yeah. My 13 minutes, so, give it my all. And I used to laugh at myself when I watched myself on film, and I go, wow, I didn't know I did that.
It's so impressive.
That's very impressive. And you know what? you give me a curiosity that I didn't know about you. I didn't know you're a saxophone player. I'm gonna tell one thing. I love jazz. I love Grover Washington Jr. Kenny G, Dave Sanborn. I have all those. You know what? If Lord, he knows. Edwin de Souza knows that I always tell him, because in my family, everybody played the music. My father was a conductor, played the guitar, and my dream was to play saxophone. But I was no good in music. My whole family, I tell you, I was no good in music. It's a great gift to know that you play the saxophone. Now I'm going to be your big fan now because I know you play saxophone. Someone that I actually talk about it, but if I had known that you play saxophone back in Europe there, I had you play for me there. But that's okay. Renaldo, you did great things, and education for us is something that is the continuation, is the like our foundation for life. Because track and field or any sport you do, it is I call a fantasy for a short period of your time. Like you said, you leave it your best, but you know you're going to get out of there one day. And the great thing you can have is our education. One question for you. I'd like to know, what degree did you get at the University of Maryland?
So I graduated with a degree in broadcast journalism, a BA. It's called Bachelor of Arts. Mm-hmm. And I actually used it for many years. I worked for NBC and ABC and CBS as a color commentator. Mm-hmm. Produced a children's show years ago, on the air for like three years. And so I've been very comfortable in front of the camera, just because when you're running and you're breaking records, the camera's in your face a lot. So you got to learn how to be comfortable with it. And so by happenstance, yeah. So I got a chance to pursue that. Actually, when I first started at the university, I was an economics major because I love finance. And I was missing so much classroom time because of traveling for athletic meetings that my professor said, Renaldo, we can't keep giving you extra time to make up the work. It's not fair to the other students. So it was a natural for me to switch over to the communications for broadcast journalism. But the irony of all of that is, once I left university, and even though I worked for ABC, NBC, and ESPN and all these, I ended up becoming a partner in a brokerage firm. And so I was a partner in stock trades and financial planning and all that, because I was able to come back into my first love. Because the entire time I played professional football or in my off seasons in athletics, when we'd finish our season in September, Jaka, I would come back home and work like an apprentice in a brokerage firm because I love finance. And then I got my license while I was still running as a professional athlete. And so when I finally retired from sports, I had a job already. And so I came full circle from not graduating with an economics degree, but then in turn getting involved in finance and economics and getting licensed in those areas to work in that field.
Well, it's so impressive because you made me feel through you what I did as well. Because you surprised me saying that you were good playing saxophone. My question is, you play alto saxophone, tenor saxophone? Which one do you play?
Primarily alto, but I played tenor. I played baritone.
Oh gosh!
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. I was in the symphonic band. I was in an R&B band.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
R&B band? Which one?
My youngest daughter plays saxophone, and she's way better than me.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
We know this. We know these histories. Well, you playing saxophone, alto saxophone, baritone saxophone, and tenor saxophone. This is so huge because
over my shoulder. I also fool around with that.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Well,
I'm in my office, so when I take breaks, I learned I taught myself.
no, because it's so interesting because you love economics. You do a lot of things. You work for the broker company as a broker, doing some tradings. For sure, you did a couple of things and stock markets, and you are a Superman. No, because you know that it's not so easy to be a man like you because you competed in the highest level. You broke the record as a first man ever in the world. And after that, you did a couple of things that are different things that nobody does at the same time. Sometimes they choose one thing or other thing, but many things at the same time is not so common for everyone.
Even for athletes.
Even for athletes, yes. But just to get back a little bit, when you realize that you could be an Olympian guy?
In high school, I guess, my senior year, once I ran 12.9 in high school. I actually did it in high school before I did it on the pro level. And that's when people started telling me about the games. Rod Milburn was my idol, so he won the 2 Olympic Games. Yes. I used to have a part in the middle of my head, and Rod Milburn wore a part in the middle of his head. So I first learned about it then, and I was very excited about trying to get good enough to be invited to our Olympic trials, let alone make the team. And so in 1980, I was the favorite to make the team, to win the gold medal. And as everyone knows, the world, at least the United States, boycotted the Moscow Olympic Games. So my first and only opportunity to go to the Olympic Games was the boycott, it hurt me very badly because there was no pro athletics at that time. It was an amateur sport. And now I had just finished university, and I needed a job, getting medals and my name in the paper. But now I'm a young adult. I'm out of school. I'm not with my parents. I need to be able to take care of myself. So fortunately, American football gave me that opportunity, and it saved my athletic career at that point. That I could still be a professional athlete. I could still be an athlete and train and now get paid, because I couldn't get paid in athletics in track and field. It was still an amateur sport. And even though I never wanted to leave the sport, I also didn't want to train another 4 years for another boycott. So San Francisco 49ers saved my career at the tender age of 22.
Wow, you always doing something incredible. That is so very impressive. Because right now, maybe we need to treat something special, because we are Black and we are here just offers some hope for all of the Black people in Latin America and especially in Brazil. And you are our most important guy that we have this night to this show. And you said that you were born in Newark, right?
Yes.
Newark, New Jersey. And in the time that we're born, I think we're the toughest decade for the Black people in the United States. Because in 1963, John Kennedy was assassinated. Yes. In 1965, in Newark, Malcolm X was assassinated.
Yes.
In 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated. How was this time for you to keep your head up? Because we see all the time people claiming for, I don't have an opportunity, that things is better for us. Nothing is running just like the way we would like to see. But how it was for you in that time to see everything that you could see and became strongly mentally speaking and strong to do everything that you did, just like you said now.
So when you have a mother and father who are great believers in God, an uncle who's a pastor, I I guess prophetically with the last name Nehemiah, the book of the Bible. You grow up knowing that God has a special anointing on your life, and believing that we all have a special anointing. It's just a matter of if we acknowledge it.
Right.
And so I put my faith in God and not in things and not in people, because man will let you down all the time. So what's meant for me would be for me. And all I try to do is be the best that I could. And I grew up in Scotch Plains, but the town next to me was called Clark. And they had the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
And the Ku Klux Klan is not a friend to black people. And so on weekends, we were forbidden to go over there. My parents would always say, if you're driving through that town, make sure you're not driving through at night. Get going. And so I grew up with a lot of racial injustice all around me. But I never felt that my opportunities were going to be limited. I just felt that there was a lot of civic unrest, a lot of black people and people that we all know about, and you just mentioned, were losing their lives. And my father grew up, my father didn't like white people. My father was born in 1925, so he saw a lot. But he never taught us to be prejudiced or hate white people. He told us to treat people how we were treated. So I always try to see the good in people. Even today, with all that's going on, I still try to have a forgiving mindset, treat people as I've been treated, not as what I hear about and what I see about. And so in order to do that, my light continues to shine, if you understand. And so, and then I've been in situations, gentlemen, over the course of years where someone may not have liked me, felt threatened by me, but it takes two to tango. And so while one person is saying disparaging things and ugly things to me, as long as I stay positive, at some point they will grow tired because they'll feel foolish because I'm not responding. And I know who I am. I may not like what people have made about me over the course of my lifetime, but I also know that I don't look for them for validation. And so the same thing I try to tell so many young people is that you got to know who you are and know whose you are in order to maintain light. And so just think, when you wake up every day and your feet hit the ground, it's a wonderful day. Because nowadays, life isn't promised. And so there's so many things that we can complain about, but at the end of every day, I try to find all the things that I'm grateful about. And so that helps me stay positive. That helps me pour into other people. That helps people that see me go, wow, he's positive today. Why is that? It has nothing to do with my athletic success or my financial success. It has to do with being grounded and understanding that I have a purpose and I want to do the best I can with things that God has given me. When you say I have so many things that I do, well, I played so many sports growing up because our parents allowed us to experience different things. So that just has followed me throughout my life. So I have an interest in music. I have an interest in mentoring. I'm an agent. I love jazz, those kinds of things. So my mind is always trying to grow and learn. I'm not satisfied just being ordinary. Right? God wants us all to be extraordinary. So I try to do the best I can when I can.
Well, this is so amazing to listen, because this is what we need to show the people how much we need to improve ourselves every single day. Because what you did, it puts me back years before, because you have a last name that is a Jewish.
Yes.
It's a Jewish name.
Yeah,
and
right.
in the other hand, your first name is an Italian name.
Yeah.
Look at this scenario. 1936. You remind me But in a toughest situation, because you could be the Marty Glickman, but a black Marty Glickman.
Yeah.
It's so impressive because look, the scenario that we have right now, people fighting against people all the time, and you kept yourself always in the balance and strong all the time. I know that sometimes we do something not so good, but you kept it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously, no man is perfect. You know, I'm a flawed person as well, you know, so I don't profess to be some self-righteous guy. I've committed my share of sins and things that, you know, if I had to do over again, I would do. But I also know that what has kept me grounded, you probably can appreciate this, but it was the hardest thing when I was in high school and in university, when people would come up to me and want my autograph. Because I never thought I was anything special.
Okay.
And I had to be told probably a good year to sign an autograph because I'm like, I'm nobody special. No, don't put me up as an idol. You know, I'm just a regular guy. And it was finally when my family said, these people support you and it would make their day if you would sign the autograph. So I had to be talked into signing an autograph because I felt uncomfortable. I never wanted to, I wasn't special. You know what I mean? At least I didn't feel that way in my
No,
it's your nature.
I got
to
it.
be humble.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's your nature to be humble. It's not something that you are showing up. It's nothing to just showing up, just to hanging out, show that, oh, he's a humble guy. No, you are. Now I can understand why you received the title, the art of the athletics, the art of the form, because now I can understand everything.
Yes. I mean, I would go out with my friends. We'd go to the club and be a long line at the club, and the bouncer or whoever was at the door would recognize me and call me up and say, hey, Renaldo, come on in. But he didn't want to let my friends in. So I said, no, that's okay. We'll wait in line. If my friends can't come in with me, I won't come in. And they would just look at me and say, no offense, but I'm not better than them. You know, they're my friends. So we either all come in or we all wait. Or they would tell me park my car in front. You've seen that where you have the nice cars in front. And I was like, no, I don't need to do that because one day you might not be here and I'm going to get embarrassed when I go to pull up to the front and somebody's going to tell me to move my car. So I said, don't treat me any special. I'm just a regular person in a restaurant. You don't have to give me free food. If you can't give all my friends free food, don't give me free food because I wasn't better than my friends. You know, they were my friends. And so I always was grounded. I never took myself that seriously. To the outside world, I may have been a star, but to me, I was just a regular guy with regular friends. And that always kept me grounded. Did I appreciate things that people did for me? Yes, I sure did. Have I gotten a lot of opportunities in life because of what I've accomplished and people admire me? Yes, I have. Too many to count. I will always tell you, I always felt embarrassed, uncomfortable. You know, when I'm with people and people find out what I did, they want to talk 20 minutes about my athletic career, and someone else is just standing there watching. And I'm like, can we change the topic? Because it's not about me. Can we talk where all of us can be involved? I want everybody to be involved. And here's the thing, guys. If all you have to talk to Renaldo Nehemiah about is his career, I didn't do a good job. I never showed you anything else but that. And I'm so much more than that. Especially now. I've been retired more than the days I was an athlete. So there's definitely more to me than running hurdles and playing football. I don't mind talking about it, but if that's all we're going to talk about, I would probably be disappointed like Ronaldo. You never let people know who you are. You know, they never got a chance to peek inside to see what really matters to you. And sports has been everything to me, but it's also enabled me to do the other things.
Wow,
That's just Ronaldo. That's great. That's great. That's great. That's for our audience right now as you're watching. to the Brazilian, to the Latin America, for those people, it's nice to people
Whatever it is
hear
in the
that
world.
and have that kind of talk with you. Just learn through yourself about what you did as a man. It's very fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
is a very interesting point because many of the younger listen all those things from you is very inspiring. So, and all those young kids, they are looking for some inspiration or some idol. And right now I'm 100% sure that you inspire a lot of young kids in the US. And I would like to know if you were inspired by some family people, or when you were young, did you have any idol or something like that?
My hero was my mother, who I lost when I was 14 years of age.
Whoa.
My mother died of lung and breast cancer. She battled it about 5 or 6 years prior to that. And I was the oldest of three, but she spent a lot of time grooming me for the day that she felt that she would no longer be there. And the words are as fresh today as they were when she told me back in 1972. When I would come home and tell her when I come from the park, and the counselors would always try to tell me I wasn't that good. You can't beat this person. You're not going to do this. And my mom would always tell me, don't let man tell you what you can or cannot do. If man can think it, man can do it. And so those words were the inspiration that I needed. And she would tell me anything. I mean, I knew all about her sickness. I knew everything. My mother had double mastectomy for breast. She let me see the scars. She brought me into what was going on. She was grooming me to be able to take over and help my father for the days that she wasn't there. So my entire inspiration was I wanted to make my mother proud, you know? So every time I was doing something, no matter what it was, even though my mother wasn't physically with me, I wanted to know that if she were being able to see me, she would be proud, and I'd make her proud. So that's been something that has been so important to me is, you know, and I always told people, I have a friend right now, Mel Pender. You might know that name. Mel Pender, Olympic champion in 1960 or 64. And he lost his mother 2 years ago. And Mel was 82 years old. And I remember he cried like a baby. Cried. And I had compassion for him. And I just told him, I said, Mel, you had your mother for 82 years. That's a blessing. I said, I was a teenager, you know?
I know what you mean.
I lost my backbone, you know, the foundation, the nurturing that I needed. And so it's so important for me to not let that loss be something that was negative. That loss be something that caused me to be angry and bitter. Was I upset? Yes. Was I hurt? Yes. But I also wanted to make my mother proud and make my father proud, because I had to grow up and I had to be a big boy then. And so there's so many positives that came out of it. Not a day passes that I don't miss my mom. But I also know that in her short time with me, 13 and a half, 14 years, she laid a foundation. She sewed into me endlessly. That enabled me to not only take on a responsibility as the oldest son, but that carried over into everything else I did. You know, I had responsibility. I was disciplined very early. You know, so my mother laid down that foundation that I carry with me to this point. Yes.
That's just great. Renaldo,
I think
you're bringing me thoughts. Renaldo,
we all know what you mean talking about mother.
Because
we had almost the same situation.
yeah. But when you mentioned that, it's for people to know, you know, behind that, all the greatness you did in track and field, and the name you get, there is a human being that have a soul, have a spirit, have compassion, and you want to help others. And when you're talking about your mother, it's a lot of similarity with what happened to me too. I a little bit different of you. I didn't lose my mother in my teenager years, but my father left home. I was 8 years old, and my mom stayed with 6 kids with that little income, almost nothing, to feed 6 kids and to bring the food on the table. So, like you, in the early ages, you have to have responsibility. I'm at 8 years old. My mom used to give me a list to go to the supermarket to buy the food, to bring the food home. That was my responsibility. As a poor kid, it was very tempting to me when I get in the store. As a kid, you want to buy candy, you're going to buy that. You're going to do something like that because the money was in my hands. But however, you need to think about the sacrifice that my mama have done. And also, at that point, our land was a teamwork, yes, because if I bought a candy, one of my brothers would have no food. You know, it is and our land had about pressure. Can you imagine the pressure on myself to do everything right and come back? And when you see that, look at that. We are the similarity of
we have this problem.
So many. That's why you're what you are, because we'll have someone to inspire. My mama also was my idol. My mama was the person that was my whole inspiration for track and field. I did everything I could to give to my mom. And so in that case, I appreciated to hear things like that, and for you to show to the audience, to show to the Brazilian people, no matter what happened in your life, but when you have that foundation, you believe in your family, you believe in yourself, you stay in that path, you gonna succeed. You gonna get there. I think this is on a great thing. Humbly, you explain with a lot of passion, with a lot of emotion, and that gives me goosebumps. That's to hear, because I was here. I'm very emotional at this point because I'm a very emotional guy, and it's very nice to know someone that I admire. When I saw you in the track and field there, the first time I saw you in Europe in the circuit, and I heard about you, and I saw you running. And now, years later, maybe more than 30 years later, I find out that guy that I admire. To me, you are the most technical athlete in the history of the 100 hurdles. I respect all the other athletes there. I do respect. But technically speak, to me, you're more the technical athlete that I ever see. Clean the barrier with so greatness and as clean as you were as a human being. And I think you did a great job on that. I appreciate that. I great that. I want to come here because you know, time continue here. You know, Brazil, United States, it's very, very country, a continental country, have great population. Brazil have some similarity when it comes to music. Brazilian music is qualified as a jazz. Have a lot of Brazilian musicians that come here to the United States and vice versa. Brazil have a large black population. In our state have blacks too, and Brazil had slavery. Here have slavery too. My question to you, Renaldo, how much you know about Brazil? What did you know about Brazil?
Well, I know those similarities as far as the oppression of a people. I don't know exactly the current climate, but I also know that there's some racial divide in Brazil. But I also know that it's a country full of culture and a very welcoming country, very cosmopolitan country too. A country that has a fairly rich tradition. I love the Brazilian people. I have 9 or 12% Brazilian blood in me. I don't know, I did that DNA thing. And so, and my wife, helps me out with all the different layers of our backgrounds and how culturally that we're all on this planet have something to do in our bloodline throughout history. So I believe that I'm a melting pot. And so when I go to countries, one of the first countries I went to when I was an athlete was Sao Paulo. And we would go there every year to run those races. And I became a fan of Brazil, you know, just because, I don't know, I just felt like I could fit in with Brazil, you know, my name, my mannerisms, you know, the people there have a good time. There's a very festive culture there. And so, and it was very welcoming. So it's something that I've always looked forward to. In recent years, they used to have that, what is it called? Mano a mano event down there. And I would come down there with my client, Justin Gatlin, and we'd run. And there was always a sense of comfort that I had in coming to, whether it was Rio or Sao Paulo, every year, just because I just felt that I fit in. You know, but again, you know, when we travel the world, we see the world at its finest. So I'm not going to lie. I get
Yes, you did.
Airports, they transport us to nice hotels. If we go out, they take us to nice places. So a lot of times you don't really get to see what's really going on inside the country. And so I remember when the Rio Olympics were there, and we were there for a while, I got a chance to go into the city and the realness of it. And it reflected where I am. You know, you go to certain places and, you know, they're nice places, they're places that aren't as nice. But by and large, I think they're clearly hardworking people there. Same here. There's certain things that people aren't as fortunate as other people, but it never caused me not to, you know, enjoy my time with Brazil. The scenery is incredible. You know, your landmarks they speak for themselves. It's just it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever gone. You know, and the coastline is beautiful. So no matter where I go, I can always find the positive in a country. And the positives to me always outweigh anything that anyone else could ever say about it. I've never heard anything about it. I remember they were talking about during the Olympic Games, you know, make sure you put whatever your phones or whatever in your front pocket because people were pickpocketing you, taking it. I go, well, they do that in America. You know, it's not in America. You know, so actually in America, you don't even take a wallet. You take your money out your wallet and put it in your pocket because, you know, you could have a wallet in your pocket and still take it. But yeah, I just, and then you know, all the times, you know, when we come down there and run and compete with you, and we go down there and we train for a week before the events, and you know, you guys will show us around or tell us about different things. That's what athletics has done. You know, you get to have lifelong friends, and you get to see people, and you get to know the country, you know, from a real personal perspective. I get to know it through your eyes, through your lens, as opposed to watching whatever they want to show about the country on TV. Because I always tell people, I said, listen, I have friends in these different countries. That's not the country, you know. Just like America, you could see all the crime and different things in America. But if you're one of my friends and I'm taking you around, you're not, you know, you're going to really get an education on the culture in the city. And that's what we did. I mean, you guys would show us around and tell us about different things and the great food. And that's how I based my views and my memories of Brazil on the people I knew, you know. Joaquin Cruz, all you guys, you know, we got to see you represented Brazil to us, and you represented them at their finest level. So I wasn't overly concerned about what someone else I didn't know was saying about it. I was there with you guys.
That's great.
Well,
that's great.
Well, hey, Barbosa, now you have pretty nice words from this gentleman in the room. That is so fantastic to listen to this because now you can.
The pressures are on, my friend.
I know. Maybe you can see the eagle. If you don't take care, the eagle will be over the rainbow.
No. After talking to Renaldo, you got to put on the ground. Foot on the ground.
He gave us a class how to be a humble person, and humble people that for sure will be very fortunate in this world. But Renaldo, changing a little bit, you told a few minutes before that you have some toughest time to deal with the political issues. We are seeing now one big issue for the whole world, that this is called pandemic, and all of the sports and everything is closed. But if we see the scenario when you have the politicians taking some decisions that can block your life, that can change your life, how did you see the boycott of the United States against the Soviet Union in the Olympic Games in 1980?
That was a very dark time for me because if you recall, Jimmy Carter, the then president, he proposed the boycott, but then at the same time, he let the Winter Olympians, the American Winter Olympians, go to the Winter Olympics that year.
Okay.
And if you recall, it was the Miracle on Ice, the Americans, the Russian team, who were professional.
Yep.
So that gave me false hope that, okay, now we beat the Russians, maybe we'll show them that we'll beat them in the Summer Games too. But he didn't change his mind. And as a 21-year-old, at least I felt that it was more along racial lines, because Winter Olympians at that time in America were predominantly white Americans. And the Summer Olympians were comprised more of people of color.
Yes.
So that didn't sit well with me. I was like, why let them go but not let us go? And so that was something that I didn't want to talk about. It took me about 21 years to really ever talk about it again. I never talked about it.
Really?
It hurt me. But again, you have to recognize, and I only realized that as I got older, out of trials and tribulations, a lot of times comes growth, and God prunes us for the harvest. When I say that, I mean, I used to tell people, supposing we had gone to the Olympic Games in 1980, and I was the favorite to win the gold medal. And let's just say that day I didn't run a great race, and I don't win the gold medal. I win the silver medal. Would that have made me any less of a hurdler? Meaning, like, would I have still been the best hurdler in the world who just happened to lose that day? Yes. So it taught me that never to let one race define you, but your body of work defines you. And I say that now because Roger Kingdom came after me. Roger Kingdom won 2 medals, 1984 and 1988. Alan Johnson, 1992, gold medal. I mean, there have been gold medalists ever since. And people still talk about me more than they talk about any of them. And I never walked into an Olympic stadium as an Olympian. I'm an Olympian, but I never got to go to the Olympic Games. So that just told me that one race didn't define me. One race didn't for my legacy, because whatever I did in that short period of time so impressed so many people that to this day, they still arguably consider me the greatest hurdler ever.
What you are saying right now, it reminds me what occurred in 2004 with a Brazilian runner.
Yes.
Because he was kept by someone on the audience and he could not become the winner. But he's much more famous because he lost the marathon and the gold medal. Then if he would be the winner in that time. And you were saying the same thing.
Yes.
In different words, different aspects, but it's the same thing. You did what you did in the time because you won the trials. You were in the top for 4 years consecutively, being the number one in the world, but you never had a chance to compete as Olympian. It's so weird that we can say. It's weird. It's insane.
Now, don't get me wrong. Would I have loved to have gone? Would I have loved to have won the medal? Of course. But I get reminded every day, because I have to correct people when they introduce me. They'll say Olympic gold medalist Renaldo Nehemiah, and I have to tell them, no, I never got to go to the Olympic Games. Now, for a while there, I didn't want to be, I would never say that because it was too painful. But I've grown up and recognized that in spite of not happening, it hasn't hurt me, if you know what I mean. It actually helped me. It sharpened me in different ways. I grew in different kind of ways. I was able to, and I think that setback is an invaluable lesson for so many other people, not just me, but so many other people, because life goes on.
Yes.
You can't stop. You have to keep moving. Life is going to throw setbacks your way. So it's not the setback. It's the setup. How do you overcome it? How do you respond to it? And so I think I was able to respond. And that set me up for life's setbacks. I made it through that. I can make it through this. This isn't all that I'm capable of doing. There are other things I can do. Okay, instead of going left, I have to go right now. Okay, fine. Okay, maybe I have to be a little bit more patient. Okay, fine. That's fine. So, but when you have all of these stories, the mother story that I told you about, the boycott story, these are the foundational things for me that give me the courage, that encourage me to keep striving, because in spite of what the world might see is a negative, I turn it out to be a positive. And I just keep going, and I keep going, and I get inspired by it. And so when you overcome one, it gives you more confidence that you can overcome the next one. And then you'll put in the time. You don't cut corners. You don't cheat yourself. You do the hard work, because it's not easy. Everything is easy because it looks easy, but it's really not easy. And here's the other thing. If you don't love what you do, you will cut corners, and the success that you think you want, you may not ever achieve.